A small boy stood in a parking lot, begging bikers to buy his beloved bicycle, because his mother was starving. The bikers learned that a cruel landlord had taken everything from them and left them homeless. What these leather-clad men did next will restore your faith in humanity and make you cry. The Saturday afternoon sun beat down on the asphalt parking lot outside Joe's Roadhouse, where a dozen motorcycles sat gleaming in precise rows while their owners enjoyed cold beers and burgers inside. The rumble of Harley engines had faded to silence, replaced by the distant hum of highway traffic and the occasional laugh from inside the bar. Into this scene walked a small figure that didn't belong, a boy of maybe 8 years old, pushing a red bicycle that was clearly his most precious possession. Tears streaming down his dirty face as he approached the first motorcycle with desperate determination that broke through the tough exterior. Every biker cultivated as part of their image. Tommy Rivera stood barely 4 feet tall, his clothes worn and too small, his shoes held together with duct tape, but his grip on the bicycle handlebars was fierce despite the tears. He'd walked 3 miles from the shelter, where he and his mother had been sleeping in their car, pushing this bike the whole way, knowing that the bikers who came to Joe's on Saturdays sometimes had money, sometimes showed kindness despite their intimidating appearance. His mother had told him not to do this, had said they'd figure something out, but Tommy had seen her go 2 days without eating, giving him her portions while claiming she wasn't hungry, growing weaker while pretending everything was fine. The first biker to notice Tommy was Marcus, a huge man with a gray beard and arms covered in tattoos, president of the Iron Brotherhood Motorcycle Club, someone whose appearance made most people cross the street to avoid him. He walked out of the bar to check his bike and found Tommy standing there holding his bicycle, his small voice barely audible over the parking lot noise. "Sir, please buy my bike. It's a really good bike. I only want $20. My mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days and I need to buy her food. Please, sir, I'll take $15. Just please buy it." Marcus knelt down to Tommy's level, his imposing size suddenly gentle, his gruff voice softening. "Son, where's your mother? Where do you live?" Tommy's story came out in broken pieces between sobs. His father had died 6 months ago in a construction accident. The small life insurance barely covered the funeral. His mother worked 2 jobs but got sick and missed work and lost both positions. They couldn't pay rent. Their landlord, a man named Victor Reyes who owned several properties in the poorest part of town, had not only evicted them but kept their security deposit, took their belongings as payment for supposed damages, and left them with nothing but their car and the clothes they wore. Tommy's bike had been locked outside when the eviction happened, the only possession he'd managed to keep. Marcus's jaw tightened, his hands clenching into fists, but his voice stayed gentle with Tommy. "What's your mother's name, son? Where is she now?" "Sarah Rivera," Tommy whispered. "She's sleeping in our car behind the grocery store on 5th Street. She told me to stay with her, but I snuck out. She's so hungry and she won't eat even when we have food. She always gives it to me. I can't let her starve. I love this bike, but I love my mommy more." The simple declaration broke something in Marcus's chest. This child's fierce love for his mother, overcoming his attachment to what was clearly his most valued possession. Marcus stood, his mind already working, and walked back into the bar. Within minutes, every member of the Iron Brotherhood had come outside. 14 men and 3 women, all standing around this small boy and his bicycle, listening to his story, their tough exteriors cracking to reveal the humanity underneath leather and metal. These were people who understood struggle, many having lived through poverty themselves, several having served time, all having been judged by society based on appearance rather than character. They recognized immediately that Tommy and his mother Sarah were victims of the kind of predatory cruelty they despised, the exploitation of desperate people by those with power. Marcus made a decision that his club members supported unanimously through nods and determined expressions. "Tommy, we're going to help you and your mother, but you're keeping your bike. That bike is yours and nobody takes from kids. Now take me to where your mother is." The club mounted their motorcycles, Tommy riding behind Marcus holding tight, his bike secured to another member's trailer, and they rolled out in formation toward 5th Street. Engines thundering, drawing stares from everyone they passed, a wall of leather and chrome on a mission that had nothing to do with their rough reputation. and everything to do with protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. They found Sarah Rivera exactly where, Tommy said, sleeping in a beat-up sedan behind a grocery store, her face gaunt from hunger and exhaustion. When the motorcycles surrounded her car, she woke terrified, thinking she was being robbed or worse, but Tommy jumped off Marcus's bike and ran to her window. "Mommy, it's okay. They're good people. They want to help us." Sarah emerged cautiously, taking in the intimidating scene of bikers surrounding her car, not understanding what was happening until Marcus explained. "Ma'am, your son tried to sell his bike to buy you food. He walked 3 miles to find us because he was desperate. Nobody that brave and loving should be sleeping in a car, while the man who took everything from you probably sits in a comfortable house. We're going to fix this within 2 hours." The Iron Brotherhood had Sarah and Tommy in a motel room paid for a month, had filled it with groceries, had given Sarah $500 cash for immediate needs, and had contacted a lawyer who did pro bono work and owed the club a favor. But they weren't done. Marcus and 3 other members paid a visit to Victor Reyes, the landlord who'd kept Sarah's belongings and deposit, despite having no legal right to do so. The conversation was brief, intense, and resulted in Victor immediately returning all of Sarah's possessions, her security deposit, and an additional $1,000 with a written apology. His decision motivated by the realization that crossing the Iron Brotherhood meant problems he didn't want. The club didn't stop with immediate relief. They connected Sarah with job opportunities, members vouching for her at businesses they patronized. They helped her find affordable housing with a landlord they knew was decent. They created a fund at their bar for Tommy's education. They made sure this family that had been crushed by circumstances and a cruel man got back on their feet with the supportive people society often feared, but who understood loyalty and justice better than most respectable citizens ever would. Tommy kept his red bicycle, riding it to his new school from their new apartment, but he also kept something more valuable, the knowledge that tough-looking people could have the kindest hearts, that help sometimes came from unexpected sources, and that his desperate walk to that parking lot had connected his mother with protectors who would make sure nobody took advantage of her again. And the Iron Brotherhood gained something too, a reminder that their power was best used protecting the vulnerable, that their reputation could be a shield for people like Sarah and Tommy, and that sometimes the most important thing a group of intimidating bikers could do was make a scared boy understand. He didn't have to sell his most treasured possession, because real men stepped up when children were desperate enough to sacrifice what they loved.